Let me be real, 90% of the creators are missing the point. Today, we're diving into why creators are stuck and how you can break out. What's going on? Welcome back to So Much Game. My name is Dontae Catlett, and this is where we decode the creator economy and help you level up your brand. I'm going to give you my insights, my experiences, and a few bold predictions. What I'm noticing behind the scenes is burnout, algorithm panic, and creators feeling stuck. And as somebody who's a producer and consumer of content, I'm always trying to find how I can elevate my creativity. Make sure that I'm storytelling, that I'm providing value to my audience, but also staying true as an artist. And then there's this other factor where I have to make sure that my content is optimized for brand partnerships. All of this is a lot of work. There's this notion that we hear online that creators don't work hard. Being a content creator or an influencer isn't a real job. But fundamentally, when you break it down, a content creator is a version of an entrepreneur. They are their own boss, they set their own schedules, and they make work for themselves. Now, I'm not saying that all content creators are entrepreneurs, but in 2025, if you want to compete at the highest level, if you want to make this a career, then you have to start looking at it as a business. Let's break down why this is happening, how to fix it, and where the real game is. The first problem that I'm observing in the creator economy is the quantity trap. Whether you're creating high quality or low quality content, just pumping out content for the sake of it with no targeted goal or vision that you want to reach other than getting famous, having a bunch of likes and followers and views. And then what? What after that? Are you creating a strong personal brand? You know, there's a lot of creators and conversations that I'm in where somebody will bring up a name, and this is true in the music industry and film. It's not just for the creator economy, but somebody brings up a name to me, 9 times out of 10, I probably don't know who the person is. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's how my memory works. That's just me. When somebody asks me about an artist or a song, I have to hear the song to be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So for me, the same could be said about content creators. But there becomes a point where you follow trends and you're doing what other people are doing. You're not creating anything original for yourself, that it's really difficult to set yourself apart. Somebody could know the content that you're known for, but they don't know your story. They don't understand your journey. And that brings me to my next point, is that everybody looks and sounds the same. Over the last 15 years, what I've noticed about social media is a small group of creators will go against the grain. They'll go right when everybody else is going left. For example, in 2014, when Logan Paul and Casey Neistat were doing daily vlogs, I'm sure there were other creators who were doing it as well. I'm just naming a few who were very successful at doing it at that period of time. Everybody started following that trend. And then it became what I really hate, but oversaturated. The same could be said what I'm noticing on short form content. Cinematic content is popping off right now. Talking about life lessons that you've had an epiphany of. Following dance trends and using trending audios or trends that somebody else created. After a while, I can only see the same trend, the same pattern, the same hooks a few times before I just keep swiping and it becomes numb to me. And that's disheartening as a creative, because whether it's a trend or it's something somebody took hours to research, script, and create, I'm not seeing that content. There's only 24 hours in a day. There's X amount of people on the platform, and we're not constantly locked in on these platforms. So if you're not posting at the right time, if your hook's off, you're already missing that viewer. And now we're having to figure out how we can live by the algorithm's whims, right? And what I want to talk about is why most creators are just following trends instead of focusing on building trust and brand equity. Being consistent builds trust, but brand equity goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. You can create dope, eye-catching content, but if I can't put a face to a name, how do you expect other people to relate to you or know exactly who you are? I think building an audience and keeping them there comes down to a simple formula of being original, telling your story, finding some genuine connection with your audience members, and just being consistent. Over time, I believe that you can slowly evolve. But one of the things that I myself have been stuck with is, do I create episodic content? Do I become a Friends TV show, right? When you turn on your TV, you go to ABC or Fox, you watch that TV show at 7 p.m. You know exactly what's going to come on. The moment that format changes, you as a consumer of that content, you're kind of confused. Like, this is not what I turn my TV on for. So I believe that the same could be said about your content creation. Take somebody like Keith Lee. If you don't know who Keith Lee is, he blew up over the pandemic. He's a food reviewer, and he consistently has a very similar format. I think now after 4 or 5 years of him doing it consistently, he's now starting to pivot and change his content, especially with the TikTok ban. He's now doing live streams, food tours. He's now stepped into a new level of celebrity. And I believe this is a great example of building brand authority. You make content just for the sake of making content, doing something that you're truly passionate with, but you know in your heart that you're doing this for a purpose, right? You have family that you want to take care of. There are goals that you want to achieve. The tough part is reverse engineering that and figuring out how you can get there. And I think that something that Keith Lee has done hand over fist is being able to find his own lane, even though there are so many food reviewers out there. But he found a way to be different in something that was authentic to him. And by doing that, he found his audience. He built trust with his audience. He did very little brand partnerships. And I think that's something that a lot of creators fall into the trap of is, I'm making this my full time. I'm not financially literate. So one of the problems is creators are not negotiating the right terms with their brand partnerships. They're not getting paid what they're worth. And a lot of brands or agencies are taking forever to pay these creators, leaving a sour taste in their mouth about the industry. But not only that, by the time that net 60 or net 90 hits your bank account, you're so depressed that once you pay your bills off, you're going to go out and treat yourself to a vacation, buy something nice. And now you look at your bank account and you go, well, where did my money go? I just got paid $20,000. I think that having the trust of your audience and working with brands that you've always dreamed of is always a balancing act that you have to tread lightly through. It is a very thin line that you don't want to cross, because if you're a creator listening to this, put yourself into the position of your viewer. When you're swiping, how do you engage to brand partnership content, especially when you know that it's an ad and it wasn't something that was thoughtfully presented or that you find valuable to yourself? I think that there's a huge lack of originality in the creator space, and it's one of the reasons why people follow trends. And there's a book that's called Still Like an Artist, and it's very simple to go onto social media, try something original, post it, only get a little bit of views and likes, swipe, see somebody doing something that you find cringe or that 100 other people are doing, and you're like, damn, this is getting millions of views, thousands of likes. This must be what I'm supposed to do. So you fall into the trap of following trends. There are ways around that. I think if you looked at 5 different trends that you want to follow and you dissect what makes those really cool, how could you add your own personality to it? I think as content creators, we don't take enough time to just sit there and ask ourselves questions without having our phone out, without using AI, just sitting with pen and paper and asking ourselves questions. One of the things that I did was I put together a free guide for you that helps you find your purpose. And not only helping you find your purpose, but it helps you get clear and definitive with your goals and the content that you want to create. And I've also created another guide that is free, and it's a 30-day content challenge. So I'll leave those linked below in the description for you to go ahead and grab. I put together these products because what I've noticed over the last 15 years of working in this industry is whether you're operating a business or you're a content creator, you have to have systems. And these products that I put together are going to help you create systems for yourself and understand, so that way you're not going through this endless rabbit hole. It's like you walk into a casino, right? You put $1 into a slot machine knowing that there's 2 outcomes. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. You might win small, you might win big. The same could be said about social media. You post a piece of content, close your phone, you open it, and instantly you get hooked the moment you see that your video is picking up in viewership, it's getting comments. What I want you to do, if a piece of content is picking up, engage with all of the people in there. After you've engaged with them, they're going to feel trusted that you're a real person, that you care about your audience members. Next, put the phone down, just breathe, and take a second to be grateful for this moment that's happening, because most likely your life is about to change. Now, you might not be going mega viral to the point where you get 100,000 followers from one video, but you don't know who's seeing that content. A few days later, you get a brand hitting you up. What I would really do is double down on the content you created. If it's a trend, figure out how you can implement something different, but similar, and also put out an About Me video, telling your new audience and your existing audience exactly who you are, what your goals are, and what you intend to do on this page. That way, they have expectations, and that way that acts as a lead magnet, and people can storytell and start to establish your personal brand. People can tell you exactly who you are. I like to look at personal branding as something that's like word of mouth marketing. One of my favorite entrepreneurs is Gary Vaynerchuk, and the reason why he's one of my favorite entrepreneurs is because he helped me understand the importance of self-awareness. It wasn't something that I was taught growing up, and if it wasn't given to me in a way that was digestible. But there was something about Gary's approach that I gravitated towards. I was magnetized by it. And as a result, I watched all of his content. And the great thing about Gary Vaynerchuk is that he always introduces his story, whether he's giving a keynote presentation, a YouTube video, a podcast. He lets people know that, hey, I was born an immigrant. My parents are from here. I ate shit until I was 30-something years old, helped my father build his wine business, a $60 million business, and he became a successful investor, right? Like that was the Cliff Notes version of who he is. But the fact that I can tell you who he is, inspire you, is exactly what you want to do as a content creator. That's how you want to establish yourself and differentiate yourself. One of the pitfalls that content creators fall into is comparison analysis or analysis paralysis. You compare yourself to your peers' content, people that you see on the algorithm that's served to you. Eliminate that and focus on what you got going on. 100 views will turn into 10,000 views eventually. 10 likes will turn into 4,000 likes in 12 months from now. But you just got to put in the work. And the more original that you are, the more that you're authentic to yourself and tell your story, you don't need the high-rise apartment. Show exactly where you're at. Show what your reality looks like. My predictions about content creation in the next 6 to 12 months is that we're going to get so tired of everything looking polished. Yes, I think that aesthetic content is going to outperform everything, but there are different types of aesthetics. And if you can show up as yourself, you will connect with the other person on the other side of the screen because it feels authentic to them. It doesn't feel like they're being sold anything. And I think that's one of the reasons why Keith Lee became wildly successful. The man was sitting on a Paw Patrol child's chair reviewing food. He was in his car. He didn't have a fresh haircut. He wasn't clean shaved. He just showed up as himself. He didn't have a bunch of brand deals right off the bat. He wasn't promoting products or restaurants that he didn't believe in. He just did what felt authentic to him. Now find your lane, be purposeful. And here's how creators can start pivoting now. The first thing that I would focus on is community building. A community can be one person. It doesn't have to be 1 million followers. Followers to me are overrated. I believe that social media platforms at one point might eliminate the follower count. What matters is who's really showing up, eager to see your content, engaged, curious in supporting you, and figuring out ways that you can create a connection with them that you can offer value as an extension of your content. And one of the best ways that I'm seeing right now is by creating private communities. For example, I started a community that's free called the Creator Network by So Much Game, where we talk about industry trends, the equipment that people are using, and eventually I'll end up putting a free course there as well to help you out. But it's just a hub that I can create, build, and communicate with my audience. Another great way to do this is communities within the social media platforms. So for example, Instagram has broadcast channels. You can create a broadcast channel and don't make it to where you're just promoting a post once it drops. Go in there every day and create a thoughtful conversation. Who knows what's going to happen with the current state of social media, AI, TikTok. Next month, TikTok is set to be banned again. So if you're afraid of that happening, one thing that I would suggest doing is creating a newsletter. There's so many platforms that you can create newsletters on right now. And it's one of the most powerful ways to communicate and offer value to your audience. You can recap the content that you were already posting. And eventually when you have about 10,000 subscribers, it's something that you can offer to brands for an extension of brand partnerships, creating another stream of revenue for you. I just want to recap everything that we just talked about. If you're a content creator 2025 feeling stuck, it's okay. It's normal. The algorithm's going to fluctuate. Instagram, TikTok, they're doing a bunch of different additions to their platforms. And what I can tell you from being on these platforms for 15 years is that when a new feature comes out, the algorithm gets tweaked. One feature becomes wildly successful. So just be observational. Right now, I believe Instagram carousels is doing really well. So I would focus on that and just making sure that you're putting out content that is thoughtful, making sure that your focus is building that genuine connection with your audience. Reintroduce yourself to your audience by putting out an About Me video. And I think that you should do this often since your audience size is growing often, right? I believe that you can diversify your content across different platforms and you don't have to just post content consistently every day on one platform. Your content can live on multiple platforms just in case you're eliminated on one of those. If the app gets disabled, you get shadow banned, or your account gets hacked. It's like the worst thing possible to happen, right? The most important key takeaway from all of this is to make sure that you're creating for yourself. And if you're stuck and you don't know what type of content to create, I've left my free guide down in the description down below that'll help you create content for the next 30 days. And if you get stuck with that, I highly recommend you download my other free guide that helps you unlock your potential as a content creator. If you found this video helpful, please consider following and subscribing. You can connect with me on all social media platforms at Dontae Catlett. Follow So Much Game. For more, I'll see you on the next one.